Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 156. We are live. Great to have you with. Big show today. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. Of course, the election stuff. We got Michael Flynn. After he's pardoned, he came out and talked. There's a good section in there I cut out for the show. We're going to talk about some COVID stuff. We all love COVID, right? More doctors speaking out against masks. That's huge. But people look the other way. And then we're going to get into that'll lead into Agenda 2030. What this whole COVID thing is about, Agenda 2030, controlling the people, controlling what they do, and controlling everything. And then we'll finish up with some TTSA. I got Chris Mellon with a couple important clips up next on Talk is Cheap Live. Welcome to episode 156, Talk is Cheap. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Dan Hofeld. Thank you so much for joining us live. There's a bunch of people here in the chat. Also, if you're joining us after the fact on the audio podcast, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, it's great to have you with us today. Joining me, none other than Pete Hobleib to my left.
How's it going, Dano?
I'm doing.
Good. I am just waiting for the crazy to get exposed here, man. You know, we are in some weird and wild times, Dano. You know, and yeah, happy to be here. And welcome DMT84, Chad and Tant, Restream.io,
and Terry, who is a woman.
Yes, we cleared that up a few episodes ago, Terry. I apologize. I'm sure you're very pretty and have very womanly features that if I ever saw you, I would not make that mistake.
Oh, yeah.
So before we get started, I would love to take a moment of 2 moments of silence for the observatory that has collapsed.
What's this about, Dan?
If anybody recognizes this observatory, let's just take a couple seconds. 1, Mississippi. 2. All right.
Is it in Australia?
This is in was it Puerto Rico or the Caribbeans there?
Okay, not even close.
If anybody recognizes this is from Goldeneye, the movie.
Oh, where they had a big fight scene up there, right?
Yeah, it's also in the Goldeneye video game, and then I think is it Medal of Honor? No, well, not Medal of Honor. Call of Duty, I think.
They fight on that too.
And there's a bunch of other stuff, but it collapsed, and this was on my bucket list to see someday. But
like, how did it? Were they expecting it to?
Oh my god! So like. A few days before, the whole pillar came down too. A few days before, some of the wires snapped, so they knew it wasn't safe. I shouldn't say a few days. I think it's been a month or a couple weeks, so it's been unsafe. And this actually got this spot right when it came down.
Oh, look at it go there.
Disappointing because I so wanted to see this thing in person.
I wonder if did they do it intentionally at some point just to bring it down?
They were going to, but actually it collapsed before they even did it.
Who's going to pay for that mess?
Because they were gonna scrap the whole thing. Because the bottom here down the Tenna Bowl was bad. But yeah, this was to search for extraterrestrial life, so that's why I thought it was appropriate to show on the show as well.
Maybe we found it and we don't need it anymore, Dan. Right? You know. You know, you stop looking when you find something, right? That's why it's always in the last place you look.
So I'm very sad about that. That's
too bad. I didn't know that.
That one was in my DNA a little bit. So another announcement here before we get started.
Oh,
YouTube has updated their terms of service. I haven't seen any people bitching about this on the internet, but right here I circled it for everybody to see. If you look closely, it says YouTube has the right to monetize all content on the platform, and ads may appear on videos from channels not in the YouTube Partner Program. So your channel is under the threshold to get monetized, but YouTube can still monetize it. Or if they kick you off monetization, they can still monetize it.
So if we come up with some clever catchphrase that goes viral, YouTube can take that catchphrase, take our likeness, and start plastering it all over wherever they want and make money off it. right?
Well, what I'm getting at with it is if they would demonetize it or block it, but then they can still use it, but they don't pay us
because they demonetized it.
So it's like it's pretty soon where they don't need the creators anymore, and it's like they'll just monetize anything they want and they won't pay the creators.
Yep. So have they always been able to use the content? Has that agreement always been that they could always use the content if they wanted to, or is that new in and of itself?
Where am I seeing that?
Like,
what you're talking about?
It says YouTube has a right to monetize all content on the platform. Has it always been like that? Or is that all new?
What it was is the creator has an option to go, I'll put ads on this video if you pay me for it.
Sure.
Now it's like YouTube says,
we can just take your video and
put ads on it and not pay you for it.
Yeah, and put it anywhere. I see. Yep. Okay. So they've always been able to use the content. It's just now that they put something in there where if they don't want to, they don't have to pay you.
Exactly.
Thanks, YouTube.
Yep.
You're awesome.
So that's that. And then one announcement, we'll have a voicemail coming up after the break. I'll say that for after the break. So
cool.
Stay tuned.
That's right. We have breaks and music and stuff in this.
I should probably get transition music ready for when we need it. I forgot all about that. So we'll let's do a little election news first. So crazy stuff. A lot of crap going on during. Do you know what I'm talking about? A lot of shenanigans. Thank you. Of stealing votes.
Oh, this whole ballot stuff. This is crazy. I spent some time the last couple days. Let me step back. So, immediately after the election, the voter fraud, this and that, and waiting, and I'm patiently waiting. We're doing the recounts. Allegedly, the RNC sent people to observe some of this stuff. Apparently it was, overseen by like legitimate people. And it's like, oh no, everything's all good. But then for the last couple of days, I Googled evidence of voter fraud 2020. And
I'm sure you got some
there's
mainstream.
There is. And there's some stuff that's a little out there, but then you start reading between the lines, right? And you start looking at examples in the past. And I think that one of the websites that I was on, had over 1,000 documented cases of voter fraud, not necessarily from this election, but, as recently as 2018, 2019, there's people in Texas for the Democratic primary that are facing jail time for ballot harvesting or something they call it, I think. Yeah. But so anyway, it happens. Right. Okay. So when people say, oh, it doesn't happen, well, actually it does. And by very high ranking people, these people worked for the polling company that got arrested down in Texas in 2018 for it to fix the Democratic primary in their area or whatever. So it happens. So then the question is how much does it happen, right?
Yeah. How much can it change?
The biggest red flag I have that I still have not gotten a really good answer for is election night. People went to bed in America. Trump was ahead in a lot of areas. And then all of a sudden they woke up and Trump got like 27 votes overnight and Biden got, 185,000, right? So that I still have not gotten good satisfaction on that. And that's funny because this is one of the one of the things that I came across.
This is a video. This is a security cam footage, and this is in Georgia. And actually, there's a table here that was brought in, and it was like, I guess we can just let it play. And I think she explains
at about 8 o'clock in the morning. We're going to roll this back and show it to you. There you go. So now they're going to start pulling these ballots out from under this table. This table, the black one, was placed there by the lady with the blonde braids at about 8:22 a.m. in the morning. So she put that table there. So the same person who's staying behind now, the same person who cleared the place out under the pretense that we're going to stop counting, is the person who put the table there at 8:22 in the morning. Yeah, I saw 4 suitcases come out from underneath the table.
And then they just start running it through the damn machine. So it's
okay. So that was my question. Are we sure that these were ballots, right?
They're over here. They go up. These are the machines where you run the stuff through. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. They bring them up here and they just start stacking them in there. They're like printer scanner thingamadoers, That's how you scan the.
So have any of those? There's 4 people, right? Yeah, because these are the poll supervisors,
Yeah, see
right?
right here,
And
lower left.
Yep.
She brings the suitcase up, parks it there. They open it up. Bam, gives it to her on the table. They go through it, and then she stands up and starts
because
scanning.
I think what's important to understand is prior to this video, there were other poll workers in the room, and they cleared them out.
Right.
And as I think she let in saying under the pretense that they were done counting, and then all of a sudden, under this table out come these boxes. See, that's a huge red flag. Red flag, right? They need to explain that, right? They need to explain that, and they need to get that. What's funny with that, the Giuliani thing that he did where he had his hair dye running down his face, everybody focused on this hair dye running and completely,
because that's what the news wanted,
right? And they completely threw out what he was actually saying, which is he actually did provide evidence.
And I knew that was going to happen as soon as he started sweating too. I was like, here we go. I could see the headline right now. Giuliani sweating bullets as voting fraud crumbles or something.
Yeah,
like
right.
That.
Yeah. So what's interesting is now they do have signed and sworn affidavits from people that witnessed some of this stuff going on, which is evidence. Okay. Now it's not proof, right? Because you and I can lie and write affidavits down, and that.
But you can go to jail.
Well, yeah.
And there's a lot of them.
You can't if you're in politics, apparently. But so there's that aspect to it. Is that in and of itself does not prove a damn thing, because you have patsies and people that'll.
The other thing is too is the whole Dominion thing, and they can switch those votes electronically, and hard to get a trace with that.
7 minutes. Computer group hacked into our election system in 2016. 7 minutes it took. Yep.
Nice, secure.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't want to spend the whole show on that. We could go on forever.
I've got a question for you, Dan. I haven't heard much about in the last few weeks. What's going on with this secret watermark ballot? That kind of just fell right off the radar. There was lots of stuff.
What I think is all that's being saved until it goes to the court, because right now it's just hearings. So they're just trying to gather stuff.
Yeah, and that's maybe a good point, but it's really gotten quiet on that, at least from what I've seen. And I also heard that they have to let Biden, take power so that the crime has been committed, right? So in many cases, you're walking around the store, you might have the intent to shoplift something, right?
Oh yeah, then
but you got to leave the store to get busted. But wouldn't
just being declared be committed?
I'm not a lawyer in that, but you know what I'm saying. But that's why that was one of the explanations I heard, is that why this isn't coming out yet is that they're waiting for the things to get in place, so that they can nail Biden and nail the people that are doing this, and say, hey, look, you guys did commit this, instead of no, we.
Well, you got to wonder how this is all going to come down, because we've talked about indictments on this show and how all this stuff was supposed to happen now. The Q stuff I kind of phased out, because it gets whatever, it's shit doesn't happen. But if this is the time when you drop the bomb, because then they'll do it all at once. That's the plan.
The spark that starts the fire kind of thing, right? Yeah. So and generally, I don't want to digress too much, Dan, because I see we have a ton of stuff to talk about. Yeah. But I mean, how are you sitting with Q these days?
The last thing he said before the election is, "Are you ready to hold the political elite protected accountable?" That was before the election. Okay. Well, there was one more thing after that, but
yeah. Okay. So, so you're still okay with Q, and maybe just
kind of sort of like that general said some things were supposed to happen before, but they didn't.
Yep.
But again, if Biden gets in there and nothing happens, then I guess we can pretty much write it off. So
yeah, that's the thing. It's like I hate to say this, but it's like, if this watermark thing doesn't come through and this stuff, I'm losing a little faith in Q personally. I've always been a little skeptical of it. You kind of brought me back a little bit when that we had the general on there acknowledging that Q's a group.
Well,
and I'm like, but then you got to start to deliver at some point, right?
We'll listen to Michael Flynn here. I believe Michael Flynn is one of the generals that recruited Trump to run. I believe he's one of the white hats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's listen to this clip. It's 3 minutes. He did like a 28-minute long.
Okay.
thing.
Backstory on Michael Flynn, right? Because he was originally in the Trump sphere, right, and then was ousted
because of Russia collusion, and then it took forever to finally charge him with a crime, and that's when Trump can pardon him after he was charged.
So now, was he actually convicted of that crime then, and then he was pardoned? Was Flynn the one that no, he wasn't. It was some other guy that actually got in trouble for doctoring an email on that. But no, that wasn't Flynn. Never mind. So I get all these players confused, Dan.
Well, let's listen to what he has to say.
Yep.
What's happening in this country should never happen, and we are going through. There's no doubt in my mind we're going through a crucible of history, and if we don't correct what it is that's happening right now over the next couple of weeks, then I really hate to even think about what will happen in our country going forward into the latter part of December and certainly into the next month. I do not believe for a second that the country will accept Vice President Biden as the next president based on what we know to be probably the greatest fraud that our country has ever experienced in our history. I mean, what we're seeing, what I'm in right in the middle of it right now, and I will tell you that, first of all, the president has clear paths to victory. They have clear paths to victory, and they actually don't require a lot of courtroom action. What they require is they require a lot of honesty out of elected officials, and frankly, a lot of Americans who are coming forward and telling us their stories. I mean, the hundreds and hundreds of Americans around the country in different states, not just the swing states, but many other states that are coming forward with their stories and putting them down on affidavits as witnesses. We had probably 10 or 12 affidavits come in from one particular state today, and because there's been a number of threats to people, these particular patriots, they sent their photos in with their affidavits and said, put mine up at the top of the list, because I want people to know that I'm not going to be afraid of these people that are threatening our country and our way of life. And so I say all that, and on one hand, and the other hand, as I just described, we have clear paths to victory for this president. And frankly, he's going to win Pennsylvania. He's going to win Arizona. He's going to win Georgia. He's going to win Nevada. He's going to win Michigan. And the other one that he's probably going to pull in is Wisconsin too, because there's a discrepancy in Wisconsin of 130,000 fraudulent ballots that they just discovered. So there's a lot of things happening, and it's all, to me, it's all positive. I was asked today on a scale of 1 to 10 who will be the next president, and I said 10, it'll be Donald Trump. It'll be President Trump. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind that he won this election hands down in a landslide, probably somewhere between 350 and 400 electoral college votes.
So there you go.
So that to me holds a lot more weight than Trump standing up in front of a crowd spouting this stuff. When you got a decorated general saying this, and he's in the middle of it, so that's interesting. Very interesting to me. And yeah, to make his point a little bit, do you recall what voter turnout it was in Wisconsin and Minnesota?
Oh, for this election?
Yeah. Do you remember what it was for the presidential
I know
election?
everything's an all-time high, though.
I think Wisconsin was 97 or 98%.
Oh,
for crazy.
No, it was over registered people.
Well, in some districts it was, but yeah, never in the history of American elections has we even come close to those numbers. And what's also interesting is when you look at like Senate races and stuff like that, most people will, kind of stick to their ticket. They're going to vote Republican or they're going to vote Democrat. So when you look at areas that went for Trump, the Trump votes matched up very closely with these like other secondary and tertiary elections that were going on, right? Everybody was focused on the president, but you had multiple people to vote for locally and such. Well, then you go to look on the Democratic side, and Biden had like 30% more votes than the other local Democrats did. So apparently a bunch of Biden voters went in and just voted for Biden, and then nobody walked out after they voted for Biden.
Because you had to do the extra work, so it'd be quicker to cheat.
Yeah, right.
Because actually, with the touch, was it the touch screener when they were cheating on the electronics?
Mm-hmm.
It would take too long to try to do everything down the line.
Down the line. So they just did the top one and the important one, right? And there was I heard an interesting conversation with a statistician that said to see the swings that we saw are such an outlier, it's nearly statistically impossible. So anyway, I'm on the fence. I need to see this happen. And if this is really true, I'm just like, I don't even know what to think, because does that going to mean? How are we going to fix it?
It's got to get fixed now, or this is like a banana republic.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're done. The thing is that,
why vote?
Yeah, right. And that's why some people, why vote doesn't count. Well, if this is really going on, and then how long has it been going on, and do we have the means in place to fix it? Because have these people gotten into the places of power enough that it doesn't matter that we've got folks on the inside that are good guys?
It kind of brings me back to Trump's whole main thing, and then why they haven't brought indictments. See, everything's coming to a head right now, like
big time,
with the lockdowns, the COVID, the election, all of it's being exposed, and it's like it just keeps going on. So I think the whole idea is to try to get the whole public awareness up and just have that pushback and hopefully bring it down at once.
Yep. Yeah. That and well, for years now, Dan, we've been talking about this change, right? And talking about how it's going to get really bad for people for a while before it gets better, right? When everything collapses, it's going to collapse hard, but then the rebuilding is where the good stuff is going to be. Yeah. And so
hopefully
10 days.
And it's not build back better by the UN.
Yeah, right. I would think at that point you wouldn't bring in anybody, because if it's really the way it's being described, Dan, the entire globe is polluted right now with corruption. And
that's the issue, because if you talk about trying to straighten up the U.S., the whole world's screwed up. So how does that
Well, yeah, it's all going to stem, because I hate to say it, we already have a one world government. It's just in the shadows, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what you got to bring down. Man, is that, and do we have the means to do that? We've heard over and over again from Q and other people, the military is going to be on our side. Military is going to be on our side.
That's what I don't like, the bait and switch, because it's like, I think even Flynn had put on his Twitter like he kind of wants martial law, and it's like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
That's and it's like you get to that point where it's like, well, you kind of have to. If
you're gonna have half the population approximately not on board with it, and how do you control that? You get a little bit of it's tough to separate the wheat from the chaff there, and so as a result, we all have to kind of suck it up, do stuff that we don't like to get through it. Kind of sounds like COVID. So
one of the other things was the Kraken. Now we had Sidney Powell talk about this Kraken that she was supposed to on release. Interestingly here, the Kraken retired general says U.S. military intel group nicknamed Kraken seized Dominion servers in Germany. So I'm going to play a short clip on this.
Yeah, before you play that, I just want to comment to real quick in the chat there. Cognitive resonance, Pete, you're such a fence sitter. I hope you didn't realize that just now, man. Yeah, you're right. I don't like to commit to stuff without really hard evidence. Faith and belief to me is I don't like to use those terms.
Bigfoot.
I do not believe in Bigfoot, and I do not have faith that Bigfoot exists. However, I do feel that there's a strong argument to be made that there might be something out there. Anyway, just to explain my stance a little bit is I have hope. I really, really am hoping some of this stuff we're talking about is going to come out. And what really brought me on this show in the first place, I just absolutely love these topics and talk about them.
So Thomas McInerney is the general. And then this was all about the stuff about the CIA. Let me blow this up for the audience a little bit. The CIA server farm in Frankfurt, Germany. where they had these Dominion servers. Okay, come on.
Did you hear about the Snow White thing and the 7 supercomputers? Have you come across that yet, Dan?
No, I haven't.
I was wondering if this had something to do with that.
So we're going to listen to this clip. I went too big. It doesn't like that. That's what she said.
Sydney and the president, through I believe General Flynn, have got the Kraken organization, the 305 Military Intelligence Battalion, working with them. Because in all of this, we have not seen any footprints of the DOJ, of the FBI, nor the CIA on the friendly side.
Wait a minute.
It's been on the deep state side.
Let me just stop you there, General, because you just said something very interesting. You just said that who has just opened up the Kraken, and then you just described what the Kraken was. We all know the term because of Sidney Powell using it, but you just said what it is. Can you back up on that?
Yes. Sidney got the term Kraken because that's the nickname of the 305th Military Intelligence Battalion. And that has been her source, along with other sources that Mary and I know about, but we don't want to talk about. And so we're getting the different sources that are relaying this. But the important thing is they identified, now get this, they identified China, Iran, and Russia as being involved in this and manipulating the votes. In addition,
but there was a thing in that Trump signed something about the election. He did this like a year ago, whereas if a foreign government interfered, then he has the power to do something. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So maybe that's a fail-safe. But
so, you know what's interesting here is like in 2016, supposedly Russia was pro-Trump, and now they're working with China anti-Trump. That's where it's confusing.
It's whichever way the Democrats want it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, whatever serves
It's
their...
always been anti-Trump. They would rather have Hillary in there because she was bought and paid for.
No, I thought that they would rather have Trump in there
No.
because he was the one that was going to strike all the deals with them. That was supposedly what that voter fraud or the manipulation was, all pro-Trump shit, with supposedly from Russia, right?
I don't. They whichever way the wind blows, they can switch it. That's how it works.
Yep.
But anyway, the Kraken is what it was. I wanted to show because that was
Release the Kraken.
And then when you talk about the Dominion servers with that electronic cheating, there you go.
Oh, Elon.
So let's go ahead and switch over to some COVID news. We'll try to do this quickly, I think.
Pot smoking genius that's sending shit into space. This is great.
Jamie, please.
All right. So some COVID news here before we get into the Elon Musk headline. I would like to show people this because this is how bad news reporting is. This is our local La Crosse Tribune. So it says La Crosse County COVID death raised to 34, 151 new cases reported on Wednesday. Now, if you're not careful when you read that, you think it's 34,000. So that that's
what I first read. I'm like, what?
Another deceptive practice by the good old media.
Well, you know, I through some connections I have, I do know some of the jokers that run that La Crosse Tribune, and
they're not very bright.
No,
that's good.
Just so you know.
That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, no, you were spot on there, Dano.
Good luck.
Good luck.
So, Elon Musk, yes, I got a COVID test 4 times in one day. 2 came back negative, 2 came back positive. Again, I've said that these weren't accurate before. We're going to blitz through these. China packed 70,000 people in stadium without masks.
Yeah, China, it's not even a thing anymore.
I'll blow this up. No big deal. You got the security guards down here that are wearing them. They're cheering, they're yelling, they're screaming. Looks like they conquered it pretty damn well.
Yeah, reports coming from China right now. It's like there's no difference right now. People were wearing masks in China before the outbreak as well. FYI.
Oh, before the...
Yeah.
Well, that's because of the air.
Yeah.
But then they're not wearing them inside.
Yeah.
So I mean, they actually have some time to regenerate their
Yep.
bacterial normalness. John Carl, ABC News reporter, takes mask off.
Oh, of course.
When camera's not watching.
Yep. Don't we all?
Caitlin did it before. Now he's doing it. Blow that stuff up.
Who is this guy? News reporter Jonathan Carl.
Jonathan Carl, ABC. Mr. Smartass himself. I'll play this because it's really good.
No Democrat was harmed in the
do really
making.
well. Come on, man.
I love that news channel. That's on the News Junkies Cartoons YouTube channel. They got some good Biden clips that are hilarious to watch. Before we get to that, let's go to, this is Tom let me do a spell. I want to get this right.
McClintock.
McClintock?
Yep. Tom McClintock.
McClintock, yes. So he talks about Gavin Newsom, because of course he went to the French Laundry to have a big dinner, no masks, and everybody around. Here's his defense of Gavin Newsom. Again, this is from Tom McClintock. He's from the GOP House.
Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning in defense of Governor Gavin Newsom, who recently defied his own idiotic COVID edicts as he partied at one of the few restaurants that's not yet been forced out of business. I defend him because he was doing what we once all did in a free society, make our own decisions over what risks we're willing to run and what precautions we're willing to take according to our own circumstances to protect our own health.
There's a risk.
Yes, COVID is a nasty bug, and a quarter of a million Americans have died while having it. But this isn't the bubonic plague. The CDC's best estimate is that if you're under 49, your chance for surviving COVID, if you get it, is 99.92%. Even if you're over 70, you have a 94.6% rate of recovery. 40% who get it don't even know they have it.
Bam.
And yet we've allowed our officials to ruin our quality of life over it, destroying countless businesses, throwing tens of millions into unemployment, robbing our children of their educations, and shredding our most cherished rights as Americans.
I'll stop it there.
Well, that's why we're seeing these new CDC guidelines out. They basically admitted that they're reducing quarantine times to try to reduce the burden that quarantines are causing businesses and people like that.
Well, if they want to pay, like these businesses, these small businesses can't survive. And
God,
that's
no.
the whole point.
Well, that is a great way to get control into the huge conglomerates, and you eliminate, and pretty soon you're going to have one person, Walmart, selling food. You're going to have one person selling cars, and one place with whatever, McDonald's is going to survive, and we'll be eating. That'll be our restaurant.
Well,
right?
they'll be running robots, so there won't even be employees there. Maybe one to fix it, but
it's like Demolition Man, right? The fast food wars.
And
Taco Bell,
I don't mind that future, but we got to get rid of the monetary system first. Again, they don't want to get rid of the monetary system because that's how you control people. Okay, Delta flights. This is pretty Orwellian. Let's just listen to this audio only.
Once you get on the plane, listen to the instructions you get from Delta.
The door is closed. If we have to ask you more than once to cover your nose, mouth, put your mask on, we are not going to be rude. We are not going to be nasty. We are going to simply take your seat number and your name, and when we get where we're going, you will either be arrested, fined, but you will also be placed on the no-fly list, meaning you will not be able to fly any airline for the rest of your life. We are government officials.
Oh.
This is government property. If you choose to act out of content or character on this aircraft, you will be arrested and face 20 years imprisonment, and you will also receive a $250,000 fine.
Thanks for flying the friendly skies. What the hell?
Government property.
I think somehow they've been deputized. I don't know what that was about.
What is she talking about? She's full of crap.
Yeah, but
So that's from the No Agenda show. I thought it was pretty good. But yeah, this is how it's getting. I mean, and then it sets a precedent. Then you got to have the vaccine in order to fly, and then it's just
yeah, and then it's the control and all that fun stuff that goes along with it.
So thousands. Here's the clip here. Thousands of doctors declare declare lockdown harmful to public health and call for immediate reopening of the U.S. So again, doctors, but let's not listen to doctors, but let's listen to Fauci, the one idiot that runs everything. Let's play this clip.
Well, Biden's brought Fauci on and carrying him over into his. Yeah,
not very impressed.
Tens of thousands of doctors are taking a stand against the oppressive lockdowns imposed by radical left-wing governors across the country. Some 35,000 doctors worldwide have joined together and signed a new document calling for an immediate end to the pandemic lockdowns. The effort, known as the Great Barrington Declaration.
By the way, this is what it takes. It takes these doctors to come out and do this.
35,000 ain't going to do crap. Don't we have hundreds of thousands of architectures and engineers' signatures on the line? Yeah, on the 9/11 truth thing. Keep going, doctors. Got a ways to go.
Yeah, you got to have the one guy at the top, Mr. Fauci, to say it's okay, and then we're fine. That's how it works.
Is being spearheaded by doctors from Harvard, Stanford, and Oxford universities. These doctors say they have grave concerns about the damaging physical and mental health impacts of the COVID-19 policies, which have had tremendously negative consequences on public well-being. Instead, the doctors are calling for a new approach, what they call focused protection. Their new plan would allow most people to live their lives normally, building up immunity through natural infection, but also providing safeguards for the elderly and other at-risk communities. The consequences of the lockdown include fewer children going in for vaccinations, more deaths from heart attacks, fewer cancer screenings, and deteriorating mental health. The doctors say all these effects will lead to an increase in deaths in the years to come, all of which could have been prevented if not for the lockdowns. The medical scientists also argued against waiting to reopen for a vaccine, saying that keeping these measures in place until a vaccine is developed will cause irreparable damage.
So, in your experience as a doctor, is this lockdown more harmful to the public health than the coronavirus?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was supposed to be a 2-week slow the curve, turned into a 6-month complete lockdown. But there's no science based behind that. Nobody can live in lockdown forever. Mm-hmm. That's not healthy for anyone.
Okay.
By the way, before we go on, I'm introverted. I don't mind staying at home, but even I'm starting to go nuts.
Okay, so that was going to be where I was going to go. They keep saying lockdown. What have you not been doing that you normally would do?
I don't go normal places now because you have to wear a mask. If I got to wear a mask, I'm not going to bother going into a place.
Okay, so by choice, so it's not because of the lockdown, it's your choice that you're not going.
But then that turns into, I won't be able to enter the store without a vaccine. It's very simple.
Sure. Well, I just want to kind of focus on the lockdown a little bit because this is where I'm having trouble. About 50% of the people are not wearing masks anyway. Okay.
When I went to lacrosse, a lot of people were wearing them. We got the highest outbreak here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everywhere I go, everybody's wearing a mask.
Yeah. Sure. Right. But my point is that it's pretty close down partisan lines. Right. So at best, we've got 50% of the population wearing masks, but I don't see a lockdown. I don't. What's the lockdown? What's getting locked down around here, Dan?
I guess it depends on how you categorize lockdown.
I just went by the local taverns at happy hour 3 to 6.
Oh, yeah, but they're talking about shutting them down again.
Yeah, but it hasn't been that way. And even when they were discouraging that, businesses stayed open.
Let's be honest, this is a nation report. We're not talking about just local.
Yeah. So a lot of these
California is going to lock down.
Yeah, because California is like way worse. They lock down shit all the time, and much worse than it is. So you're right, Dan. I got to think a little more wider than just local. But see, I personally am the only part of the lockdown that I'm experiencing is I work from home, which is actually really nice and awesome.
Beneficial to you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I'm still going to the grocery store. Yeah, the restaurants aren't open. They're doing carry out, but I don't do that normally. I don't see sitting down at a restaurant as part of my mental well-being.
I think in general, like I told you, I'm really introverted. I don't really need a lot of people interaction.
Yep.
But it's getting to the point where I kind of need it.
Yep.
Like, and it's getting.
I would like to hear see if there's actually anybody that's been forced to stay in their home. Because there's really, you can still, legally gather and stuff and outdoors and things like that. So when they say lockdown, we're not in a lockdown, man.
I think it's just more of even a mental thing.
No, I do get what he's saying though. So here's I was accused of being a fence sitter. Here it is. I'm flip-flopping and I'm sitting right in the fence. Cognitive resonance. Here's another fence sitting thing. So I agree that there's huge things with drug use, domestic abuse. People, they made a great point in there. People are not going to the hospital when they need to for fear of catching this apocalyptic virus. And what they're arguing is the juice worth the squeeze right now. And they're saying, no, it's not. What we're doing is actually
causing more deaths,
it's
even with
gonna,
suicides and stuff.
Correct. Yep. And also part of me though feels that there's like an aspect of like thinning the herd here that might be going on, right? And so we want this virus to spread because it's going to kill old people, it's going to kill minorities, it's going to kill poor people. And that's what the elite want, right? Because this is all stuff that's sucking from the system. Our government has no idea how they're going to handle Social Security. What a better way than to get this disease to go through everybody, knock out 40% of the people that are getting Social Security, right?
Right.
Well, maybe not 40. What was it? 96% survival rate at 74. So that's pretty long. But there is a little poetic justice in this, in that, viruses and diseases like this are usually caused by overpopulation and squalid conditions. Okay. So maybe this virus is just like a mild antibiotic the earth is planting out on us. And the fact that it affects old people worse is a little bit of poetic justice, because it's those folks that allowed us to get to the point we're at, right? It's sad for me to say, it's sick for me to say, I have friends that will probably unfriend me from Facebook.
I guess more of the government wants to kill old people because they're not. That's the death panels that Bill Gates was talking about.
Yeah, the social value, the value put to their Social Security once they hit age 65, 68, drastically drops off. They're no longer contributing, and now they're draining.
So
right?
I got a tweet here from Scott Atlas. He kind of took the spot of Dr. Fauci in the White House for a while, and this is one thing he tweeted out, which was really interesting. The only way this stops is if people rise up. You get what you accept. # freedom matters. # stand up. So it's interesting to have, and he says here that he never incited violence. But by the way, that tweet has gotten either Twitter took it down or he took it down, but it's not up there anymore. Kind of like, okay,
the rise up is a bad choice.
But I think what it is this is all Trump's trying to bring this stuff up, and he needs the people to see it and push against it. Everybody's just kind of going with the flow, and this is just going to.
I disagree. I'd say half the population is not going with the flow.
No,
I know what I'm saying?
A lot of them are.
I think a lot are, but I mean, for the most part,
a lot of people wear the mask because they don't want to put up with the hassle in the store.
Yeah, but okay, all right. So a 20-minute visit to a store wearing a mask,
but it's still showing compliance. Again, it's not about the mask or the COVID. It's about compliance.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, right, Dan? Because that's one way to look at it. And I think there's another aspect too, and that is to, kind of provide community comfort, right? Because there's enough people out there that.
Again, what kind of country do you want to live in? This is the issue with the liberals and the right. The right.
What country right now does not require the use of masks?
The right puts liberty above safety. The left puts safety above liberty. It's that simple.
Well, the right is the one that's allowing all this shit to go on right now, Dan.
Yeah, I know,
right?
and that's why both sides are being exposed.
Yeah. Well, because there's corruption on both sides, and they're all part of that. You're right, but I just wanted to point out that right now this is all a product of the right. Who knows what would happen if there was a Democrat president involved? Who knows? I don't know. I mean, we're going to find out pretty soon if this doesn't go away. But I just, I don't. It's tough because I feel like I go to the store, I wear a mask, I don't think about it, but I also have been wearing face coverings of sorts my whole life for various reasons. So it's not even that big of a deal. I mean, I just, in the last year or two, completely remodeled a house.
Okay.
I was wearing a damn respirator for hours and hours.
Hold that
on end,
thought.
you know?
Okay, I'm going to play a clip
Sorry.
here. This is Dr. James Meehan. Now, he says he's been seeing patients that have facial rashes, fungal infections, bacterial infections, and reports coming from his colleagues all over the world that are suggesting the bacterial pneumonias are on the rise. Now, I'm going to play the actual video of him talking about this. This was at a Tulsa, Oklahoma kind of anti-mask mandate.
Yeah, this is great.
Thank you very much. My name is Jim Meehan. I'm a medical doctor. I'm an ophthalmologist who specializes in ocular inflammation and immunology. I'm a former medical editor that knows how to read the medical science. I read more than the titles and the abstracts. I look at the methodologies. When I looked at the methodologies,
he's an eye doctor, by the way, just so you know.
Support community.
And Fauci is better because he's.
I didn't know. I'm just saying we're taking virus advice from an eye doctor. Is all I'm saying. But I will listen.
Of solid, high-level science. In fact,
but he uses
we've been
the
studying
mask.
this issue for over 30 years with regards to the transmission of influenza in the population. One of the reasons that we have never recommended the community wearing of medical masks is because it's been shown in the highest levels of science, randomized controlled trials, meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials, to not be effective. That hand washing, social distancing, masks add almost nothing to that equation. So it has a very marginal, at best, efficacy, and those studies are in healthcare workers and hospital settings in which we have an optimal environment with high air exchange, low temperatures, nothing like what our community is encountering. Now, in general, I think we should always resist medical mandates. We don't need lawmakers intruding upon the medical decision-making that should be left between a patient and a doctor after fully informed consent. They need to consider the risks, benefits, and alternatives. In this issue of community wearing of medical masks, we have not done a fair risk analysis for the population. We have not informed them that the mask can block arterial oxygen, can block oxygen intake significantly. That's been demonstrated in experiments all over the world. It's been studied in surgeons in an optimal environment where there's a higher level of oxygen in the operating suite, high air exchange. I've worn a medical mask in surgical procedures over 10,000 times. And I can tell you that they do induce physiologic changes. I'll start to develop a tremor after about 30 minutes of mask wear in that high air exchange, higher oxygen level,
he's a surgeon?
cool environment. Imagine
eye
what
surgeon?
untrained members of our community are doing when they are wearing them in the Oklahoma summer and they're climbing a 25-foot ladder to fix a flare furnace or something. And I can tell you what happens, because less than 2 weeks ago, my executive assistant's fiance was forced to wear a medical mask by his employer. He was 25 foot up on a ladder climb. He got dizzy and he fell 25 foot, and he is now in the hospital with a head injury, with a dislocated shoulder, multiple lacerations, and broken bones.
And well, all you'd hear about that is he fell off a ladder. Nothing about a mask.
Well, and this is great because I put together a graph before the show, Dan.
I'm sure this is real scientific.
Yeah. And here, let me see if I can hold this. So what I did is I put together a graph showing since the pandemic started, the amount of people that have died due to mask wearing related deaths. So can I hold that up here? There it is. There's the graph. That's how many people have died.
Yeah, because they're reported as COVID deaths.
I'm just saying, this is how many people have died since the pandemic started as a result of wearing a mask.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's
they report what they want, and you know it.
Yep. So anyway, this guy did make some good points, Dan. And the takeaway from this is that people are idiots and they can't be trusted to do what's right.
And the other thing was, you got people. They ain't gonna buy a mask and change it every 30 minutes or whatever the hell they want. You should change them really often. They're gonna hang them up on the rearview mirror. They're gonna bake there in the sun, and then they're gonna put them on their face and get bacterial pneumonia. This is one of the things in the Spanish flu.
I would think that over duration, the bacteria, as long as it's not saying moist or it's not in a moist and warm environment, it would die off, right? But yeah, you're right, though. You repeatedly wear this. It's in the summer. Humidity's up there. You're going to create a petri dish because you're an idiot and don't know enough to throw that mask away.
And even Dr. Fauci wrote that in his NIH paper about bacterial pneumonia being the biggest.
Yeah, and it's all over the CDC websites, and all these health departments are saying it too and stressing the importance of doing it. But people aren't. I can't remember where I was. I was talking to somebody that was wearing a mask, like visibly soiled. It was a single-use disposable mask. Where in the hell was? Oh, I'm not going to say it, but I remember where it was.
Oh my
goodness! He puts a mask on, and I mean, it's like I looked at it. I'm like, dude, did you just find that on the side of the road on your way in here? You know. So yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a certain amount of risk, but the thing is, in the sense of doing that, you being a dumbass is hurting yourself. You being a dumbass is not hurting potentially people around.
That's what they want you to think, that you're hurting other people around it. Again, what are you doing for the greater good of the people? That's the problem. It's this group think bullshit, and that's why we're all stuck in this thing, and that's what leads into the Agenda 2030. But let's go to vaccines before we go to that. We'll take a break and we'll get to Agenda 2030. So doctors urge CDC to make public aware of painful side effects of experimental COVID-19 vaccines. Now remember, folks, even Fauci says that you're going to have to take 2 shots, not one.
Oh, it's double dose.
But 2.
Yep.
And it sounds like they've been having some real good luck with that. So this is Dr. Sandra Foyer of the American Medical Association. She says they are going to know that, excuse me, they are going to know they had a vaccine. They're probably not going to feel wonderful, but they've got to come back for a second dose.
Yeah, because the side effects are gonna make them really sick, for a while.
In early trials, they had fevers, headaches, and sustained
COVID
exhaustion.
symptoms.
Exactly. So that gets to my point. Why even bother?
Well, that's what this vaccine.
COVID is probably, if a lot of people don't even know they have it, is going to be less severe than this.
Well, yeah, and for the most part, right? Yep. And if you remember when we did the COVID vaccination episode, we talked about this new RNA vaccines that they're doing, which, by the way, reminder, folks, these types of vaccines they're developing have never been developed in this manner before.
And they haven't done animal tests on these either.
Yep.
So these are going right to people without the animal trials.
And people are raising their hands and lining up to get it. So, what this vaccine is going to do.
And they're exempt.
Yeah. It's going to actually create a Frankenstein version of the COVID virus that's broken into pieces in your body. So it's actually, this vaccine is going to make your DNA make COVID inside of you, but your body's going to be able then to fight it as it comes. Sort of, like with the polio vaccine, they injected dead or even like weakened polio strains in you, where this is, they're going to inject something to have your body make it. So it's crazy how they're doing it. But, so I don't know, man. You're right. One thing I wanted to mention, her very interesting conversation. Now that the Pfizer's announced, that it's coming out, and Moderna is very close, and I forget the third company that's very close. Wealthy countries have now placed blanket orders with these pharmaceutical companies that are coming up with the vaccine. In essence, then hoarding. I'm going to use the word hoarding the vaccine. Right now, America has already signed contracts to obtain enough vaccinations to inoculate the entire population twice. Twice.
No.
Canada has put a blanket order in. They can inoculate every citizen in Canada 5 times and have some left over from what they've already spoken for. I think it was Pfizer's estimated 9 billion doses or whatever they're coming out. 95% is already spoken for. And so what does this mean? It means that our developing third world and less wealthy countries are not going to have access to this vaccine potentially for years.
Or will they give them a different one?
Or will America say, hey, we'll sell you ours for 3 times the cost, right? Maybe I'm sure there's a money-making scheme to be had here, right? I've got all the vaccines. I'll sell it to you for 3 times what I paid for.
And a lot of this too is even with even if you get the vaccine, you can still transmit it to people. So it's like this is where the whole thing leads.
Well, yeah, they're not sure if they can, right? So now you might be fine and not show symptoms, not get sick, but you might be a carrier, right?
So it's just, it never ends.
So my thought on this too is I feel that vaccine or not, that this is going to take its course through the world.
We should have just did it in the summer when people could fight it off better.
Well, the problem I have with that is that we are seeing illnesses. I mean, you would agree that people are getting sick from this, right, Dan? You know, it's like some people are, however small the number. And the idea behind this mask wearing, the social distancing, was not to stop the virus. It was never as a cure, but was to try to slow the spread. You've heard the slow the spread, right? So that the hospitals and medical stuff can handle it. And that's what right now what we're seeing. La Crosse has tents set up, getting ready to use tents.
They keep saying cases, but then the hospitals are empty.
Yeah, well, apparently not anymore around here.
Well,
but
that's what they say.
30%, 1/3 of Wisconsin's hospitals are claiming they're at capacity. Right,
you got to understand how that scheme works.
Well, yeah, it's a scheme. Yeah.
So if you have, like, let's say you have a hospital and it's got 4 beds and they fill them up with normal medical stuff. 3 beds. We're at 75% capacity. That's how the scheme works.
Yeah, because they don't necessarily say it's all because of COVID or whatever, or they repurpose some beds now. This is for pediatric and our regular beds. So there's some massaging there. But the city of Madison bought an empty warehouse that they're prepping for a temporary morgue. Right? So it's like these people are feeling the pressure at a treatment level in Wisconsin, because we are like off the charts apparently compared to the rest of the country. We're like a hotspot. We're making international news over here.
It's because we were one of the swing states, but
yeah, it could be, right? Yeah. So that's what's interesting, and I agree. It's like if we can take reasonable steps to prevent that big influx of hospitals and have to have the military come in and put everybody in cots and tents outside in the middle of winter, I'll do that. For to a reasonable extent. The argument is how much. How much do masks help? And I'll say, if I've got COVID and I sneeze at you, Dan, would you rather me, be wearing a mask or not? Right?
I'd rather have you not wear it. I'd rather get it now and my body fight it and be done with it.
So then, do you have a grandma or grandpa around still?
A grandpa, I rarely see him.
Yeah. Okay. So if I was with your grandpa, would you? And I'm coughing on him, would you rather me be wearing a mask or not? Right. So because it does stop droplets. You're not gonna feel the wet.
It says droplets. It doesn't stop COVID.
Well,
COVID particle.
Well, yeah, but COVID particles don't travel like freely. They need to be attached to something to travel.
Most.
Yes, most. So anyway,
all right, I got a clip here.
So we've reduced the chance that instead of 1 billion COVID particles, you've only got 500 million on you. So anyway, I digress. Continue.
So we got a clip here. Remember, I played Bill Gates with the vaccines and how they're not that painful.
No, the data showed that everybody with a high dose had a side effect.
Yeah, but some of that is not dramatic, where it's just super painful. But yes,
it's not dramatic. It's just super painful, Pete. Nothing to worry about. Can hold the floor for a little bit.
Well, when was the last time you had a tetanus shot, Dano?
Tetanus?
Yeah, right.
No, not that big of a
because it makes your arms sore for a couple of days, right? That's what I would expect this to be if the vaccine. But I forget the guy's name I was talking about it. But 2 doses. If the first one is as bad as it seems, I would almost guarantee you're going to see a huge percentage of people not going in for the second dose. And then if you miss that second dose.
When I got shots in my arm from when I was a kid, I still once in a while will feel that spot.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy.
Yep. A little hard ball or whatever.
Yeah, you just feel a little spot.
Yep. So anyway, I'm not going to be definitely lining up for a vaccine anytime soon. I'll tell you that, Dano.
Especially the mRNA. Now, interesting here, I don't know if there's any comparison or not, but Dominion Diagnostics offering COVID-19 antibody testing. So is it the same Dominion that runs the election? I don't know, but it's a hell of a coincidence that it's also called Dominion.
Oh.
I just thought it would be interesting to share that with people.
That is interesting.
Okay, we'll take a break, I think, and then we'll hit the Agenda 2030 and finish up with some TTSA stuff. So we'll do that. So
break time.
I actually got I put the graphic on the wrong spot. That's not good. So ladies and gentlemen, Go to preparewithk2d4.com. Again, this is storable food. This is a great insurance policy. Stuff is going to hell. We don't know how they're going to lock stuff down. Locking the whole country down. Go to preparewithk2d4 network, or excuse me, preparewithk2d4.com, and you can get yourself a 4-week emergency supply, 2,000 calories plus a day. That's 284 servings, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and drinks.
And what's the shelf life on these?
These are
25
25,
years?
yes.
Is
25
that what it is?
plus.
Boy.
And we actually got our samples in, so we're going to try some on the next episode, I think. These look pretty good. We got.
Have you tried any yet, Dan?
I have not. I was kind of waiting for the show.
Okay, you were gonna wait. I wasn't sure if you were gonna bust into that beforehand or not.
I got creamy stroganoff, cheesy broccoli soup, mac and cheese, creamy Alfredo
and
pasta.
what are we gonna try? Do you think?
We're gonna do the cheesy broccoli
soup. That's right. That's right. That looks good.
Yeah, we'll let people know firsthand what it tastes like.
So yeah, that's awesome.
Again, this is an insurance policy you can eat. It's always good to have some storable food on hand. Stuff like I've had.
This is all freeze dried stuff too, so it's lightweight, pretty packable. You know,
I just finished up my others. It was from a different company because I had that a long time ago, but I just finished up with this because I didn't want to go in the store with a mask. Perfect. Like this stuff was getting old. I had to use it up anyway.
Yeah, okay.
And it worked out great. So it doesn't hurt to have some of this stuff on hand when you really, really need it too. So again, preparewithk2d4.com. That helps support the show, and we much appreciate it.
Ooh, the packaging is made from the same material that NASA astronauts rely on.
Actually,
that's pretty cool. Oh, there we go. There's some examples.
There's the bucket here.
They sent you a whole bucket?
2 buckets. This one's yours.
Oh, I get a 30-day food supply?
It's it'll be 2 weeks because that was together as the
I
slot.
see, but you're just giving me the bucket. So are you kidding me? That's a sweet
So I split
hookup.
it in half. I gave you half of everything.
Awesome.
So
thanks, Dan.
Try it out, and that's your
Here,
Christmas
can we
bonus.
Yeah, my Christmas bonus. Dude, this is awesome, man. This is going to go right in my freaking gun cabinet at home, man. and it'll be there. Thank you. That's awesome. And thank you, Ready Hour 30 days food supply. That's awesome.
My Patriot Supply.
My Patriot Supply. Well, it's Ready Hour food, right?
Yeah. Yep. And then we'll try this. I got the cheesy broccoli rice soup. We're gonna try that in the next episode. So
sweet. Boy, surprises on the show tonight.
All right, then also we have our sale as well, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, Christmas holiday sale, right?
Holiday
Whatever you celebrate.
20 at checkout. Get yourself
20%?
10%. We didn't do 20 this year. I did 20 last year. We'll do 10.
But the code is the same.
Holiday 20. That's why it's confusing.
Holiday 2020, right?
So go over there, help support the network, folks. There's got the phone cases, the mugs, the beach towels, the shirts are very important messages. Be the change.
Case. Is that Android and iPhone?
Yep, both are on there.
Cool.
And it definitely helps support the broadcast, especially with our demonetized times that we're in, and it seems to be getting worse.
Do we even have any monetized videos anymore, Dan? A couple sneak through, maybe?
The ones that are doing really good are my reviews.
Oh, yeah, of course, because you're not talking about really anything that affects the elite. Actually, you're promoting consumerism, which they love.
Yeah. Well, like that goes in. Oh, I bought this monitor. I might as well review it and put it on the thing, and hopefully get some kickback for it. But definitely help there. Go check out the. This is in the description as well. You can go to k2d4network.com. You can also go to k2d4network.com and click on the other banner for the storable food here as well.
My Patriot Supply.
Do
they offer anything else besides food on that website? Do you know?
I think there might have been some water filters. Or
okay.
Cool.
But
check it out. We got a voicemail. This one's kind of geared towards you, Pete. So
good or
listen
bad?
very closely.
Good or bad?
It's good.
This is what I wanted to say. You guys had a show on BitChute.com. You guys were talking about Thanksgiving, or should I say Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And if you look up the information about it, you'll find that the people that did the massacres, they actually wrote down this information. That information is still around today. How you going to go about getting it in your hands is another story. But you should be able to find it if the ruling oligarchs, these so-called Jews, along with these bootleg Anglo-Saxons, God knows where that information is now, but that information is there. And I'm an Apache Indian, like I stated before, and the average black American, we know that we're not Africans. We have always known this, and even the great Malcolm X found this out later on, that we were aboriginals, not Africans. So the African doesn't even care for us. He doesn't even like us, and we don't care for him either, because he's a bootleg for the same colonists and imperialists who enslaved him. But the fact is that the American psyche or conscience won't let itself, tell the truth. It can't handle the truth, because what is being American? That's just a word that was invented by an explorer. They gave up their identity. Imagine that millions of Europeans came over here because their countries were destroyed by the same people who are destroying this one over here, and gave up their identities of Irish, Scottish, British, French, German, Polish, Irish. They gave up their identities to become a word or something, to become Americanized or Americans, whatever the hell that is. But it's just something that I just wanted to put out there. That's it.
Wow.
Thank you.
Did we catch his name?
He didn't put his name on there. And that was the second time he called, because he talked too long and I cut him off. But his second time there was.
Oh, that's why he referenced that. He said he was Apache, and he mentioned that before. He made some really good points in there. I like this guy.
Yeah. So that episode he was talking about was episode 131, where it was the real Thanksgiving. You did this, over a year ago. So he must have came up on his feed because Thanksgiving was
coming up. Yeah, because that was about last year at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like it. Thanksgiving. He's absolutely right. For those that maybe didn't catch the episode, basically Thanksgiving is just a celebration, a massacre of the indigenous population of America, folks. So.
Oh my goodness.
But I did eat turkey this year, so that was all right, I guess.
How did you make it?
I roasted it.
Oh, we deep fried one here.
Oh, is it good?
Oh yeah,
that's
very nice and juicy.
I did the traditional roasted mashed potatoes, gravy, green bean casserole.
It did the grease went over a little bit, but it didn't flame up. So you see
that's
those
just kind of exciting.
You see those horror stories.
yeah. Those are kind of exciting though. But yeah, I even made my own stuffing and stuffed the bird and the whole 9 yards. I made a pumpkin pie from scratch, including I even grew the pumpkin.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I grew the freaking pumpkin myself and everything. So.
Well, I'm cooking for you on the next show, so you better be ready for it.
Yeah, right on.
Got a soup to eat.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you're just heating up water and pouring it right. I think you can probably handle that.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go do Agenda 2030, and then we'll hit the TTSA stuff, a couple things on there, and we'll wrap the show up. Agenda 2030, formerly known as Agenda 21, how they wanted to control things, of course. This is getting lumped in with the Build Back Better, the Great Reset, and all this stuff. I got a picture on screen here. Boris Johnson wearing this pin, Bill Gates, Macron, and
what's that pin again? That's the 2030 agenda pin?
This is the color thing.
How do we know
right
that's what it is?
Right here. So this is like 17 goals that they have. I'll just read a couple of them.
I see. Okay, I see. So
I got zero hunger, no poverty, quality education, climate action, all this stuff. But this is what makes it all roses here, that everything's going to be great.
It's just such bullshit. These are the guys contributing to this current situation we're in. What is their plan? It's like the wolf telling the other sheep, no, it's all cool, man. You're fine. I'll protect you, while he's like eating a sheep. You know what I'm saying?
Boris Johnson, of course, switching sides. I thought he was actually going to be like a Donald Trump or whatever, but he's been shown to be this globalist ever since he got COVID. I don't know if something happened there where they kind of like
maybe he died from COVID and they put in a lookalike.
Yeah, who knows? But this is the UN thing. It's called Build Back Better. They're all using that slogan. Biden's using it, and it's a big red flag. I got a
build back from COVID. They mean? Is that what they mean?
Yeah, because the country's getting torn down. The economy's going to hell. Why is the economy going to hell? Because the government's shutting it down. Again, problem, reaction, solution. Create the problem, COVID.
Yeah, it's just self-fulfilling prophecies.
Lock
right?
everything down. We got to build back better.
And all these poor small business owners that can't do it. You know what? The government's going to come in and we're going to give money to the huge corporations that have funded our campaigns. We're going to give them money to come to your neighborhood to provide you the service that was lost because of the pandemic.
Oh.
This is scary as shit,
It
Dan.
is scary. This is why when you put all the puzzle pieces together, I like, if this goes one way or another, I started thinking about, can I get out of here? Can I,
where in the hell would you go?
Fake my death and go to an island where I can just make coconuts or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Patriot Supply will just have a standing airdrop order over your
That
island.
would be all right. Yeah.
that'd be
Get the
okay.
fire and cook it to go.
Yep.
So I'm going to play a couple
Yep,
super
go ahead.
bites of Build Back Better.
Four
here.
sets of priorities can guide the response to build back better and achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
So the vice president took the approach of saying, we're not just going to try to plaster over the cracks and put some props in where it's falling apart. His approach was to say, we're going to build it back better. We're going to take an economy that had a lot of problems and we're going to make this economy work better going forward. That's the right approach.
This election is about building this country back better. And that's what Joe and I will do.
So Africa can build back better, greener, more integrated, and resilient.
Rekindle the Canadian economy by building back better.
We need to seize this moment to be creative about how we reposition the national economy.
Resilience is so critical, and I think takes on even broader meaning when you have a pandemic.
But this moment also gives us a much greater chance to be radical and to do things differently, to build back better and to build back bolder. And so we will be doubling down on our strategy. We will double down on leveling up.
But this election is not just about him. It's about us. It's about you. It's about what we'll do. Over the last 2 weeks, I've shared my agenda for economic recovery. I call it Build Back Better, because we can't just build back the way things were before. We have to do it better.
I guess I don't understand. He's talking about really, the sectors of the economy that really took the hit, right? Was the retail, restaurants.
They're talking about
entertainment.
everything.
Yeah.
So they're going to talk about the new Green Deal. Get
Yep.
that shit in there because we can't have polluting stuff anymore.
You think the oil companies are going to allow that?
But what is that going to do? It's going to get commerce down. People are going to lose jobs. It's going to put a clamp on society.
I guess I don't understand what they're trying to build back better unless they're talking about movie theaters.
It's the UN points.
Restaurants and, all of the essential stuff's been open from day one, man. And that isn't affected. That doesn't make much sense.
Okay. What they want small businesses to go away. They're doing that already with COVID. Big businesses only.
Yep.
No private property. They want digital payments. They want small city living. They want you. That's a part of Agenda 21. Shut off the outer rural areas, put them in the urban areas in these small apartments.
Yep. That's
AI
been on the agenda from the New World Order for decades.
Oh yeah, this is all part of the plan. AI takeover, universal basic income. They should have got that. People would be all for this if they could push that. There's many people that voted for Biden
because of that. Yeah, because if they
want to sit on their ass.
And okay, so here's an interesting. Would universal basic income then be a step toward getting rid of the monetary system?
It wouldn't, because they would keep it. And they ain't going to bring out the free energy technology.
Yeah, because the money that they would give you would just go right back to them. So
and that would be part of your social credits score.
Yep.
Where we're going to only give you this little credits, so you have to live in this small city. You can buy it within your means.
One thing that might be backfiring on this with this COVID pandemic is actually since the beginning of the year, there's been this like exodus from large urban areas moving out into the country because of the virus. So that might have been a little backfire.
Well, everybody's leaving from California because of the shit that's going on.
Yeah, right. Oh, AI takeover. Got a joke for you, Dan.
All right.
Robot walks into a bar, goes up to the bartender and says, "Hey, barkeep, I'd like a beer." Bartender looks at the robot and says, "We don't serve your kind." And the robot leans over and says, "Someday you will."
8 inches.
8 inches.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, right? Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
So, also forced vaccinations. The health passports, I showed many. There was the Ireland passport. There was the COVID pass. Now there's a freedom pass.
Oh.
Yeah. What's freedom about showing a pass?
Yeah.
working from home, and then I just talked to you about this before the show. Since people are working from home, they're talking about charging that extra tax because you're not spending that money on gas to go to work.
Gas, yep.
You have to pay that tax now. And of course, I got one more clip from Build Back Better that I want to play. This is Trudeau. Listen to how draconian this sounds.
While we're dealing with this pandemic, I don't want you or your parent or your friend to take on debt that your government can better shoulder. So yes, in the short term, we'll keep investing. But beyond the emergency, as we start to build back better, we must do that in a fiscally and sustainable way. Investing for our recovery must be done responsibly.
The last part I agree. I agree that on the whole that's a good approach.
But understand, he's just talking down there. It's okay. Yeah. Give up your rights,
and
then we'll let you have everything.
The government's here for you. We'll take care of you. See, there's this government dependency that's that's being created, and we're allowing not you and I per se, but the people are allowing this to happen. And when you talk about even universal basic income and stuff, it's like they're looking at the government, take care of me, government, I'll do whatever you want, I just want my Netflix and my KFC.
I'll take my universal basic income and sit on my ass and not have to worry about any of that.
Weigh 600 pounds and shove chocolate bonbons in your face, and
you actually would find, I would like to see a way for people to do what they love as giving back to the community, instead of being what we got now. You're almost forced into
pick your hell and go do it.
So I would love to play drums for a living, but I can't do it because of the way society is.
I'd like to go fishing and get drunk.
See, there you could
give my fish to people for food.
I guess you could do like Deadliest Catch or something. But you want to be home and stuff, so that's all how it works. But back to the Agenda 2030. What I'm worried about with this whole thing, and the new agers out there watching, is this a hijack of the New Age movement? Because we got to remember here, we got the arrest of the cabal, the reset of financial systems, disclosure of, again, they never said anything about the release of ET information, but again, beginning of a new fair and financial system with prosperity funds. You could see how that could be lumped into.
If you redistributed wealth, everybody would be much more level loaded, but I think you're always going to have greed and power hungry. And so you kind of almost have to change a mental outlook of people,
New government / political system, education system, healthcare. See, you got to be careful, because this could be into the Great Reset, Build Back Better. Yeah, you can easily fall for it.
When I hear new global government, I just think new world order. But you know what? If the right people are in control that have power and do good, I'm for it. Somebody's kind of, in a sense, gotta run the ship. It just can't be all corrupted.
This is
you'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
Yeah, did you see this video already?
No, I just read it. There was a quote up there.
This is the World Economic Forum. They had this video. This has been making its rounds on the internet. 8 predictions for the world in 2030. As we go through it here, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Which I want to talk about that for a minute, because when I always talked about kind of minimalism, having less does make you feel good, but I want it to be a choice for people. I don't want to force somebody to live that way.
So I'm not going to have a chainsaw anymore, or there'll be like a place
you will rent a chainsaw.
I will go check a chainsaw out. Well,
you'll rent it.
So I can't have a shotgun. So if I've got a
shotguns won't be allowed. Now you're getting back to my clip I forgot to show. Thank you very much. Biden's proposed guns. Mandatory registration under National Firearms Act. $200 tax for each assault rifle and $200 tax for each high magazine capacity. Again, we're not going to ban guns. We're just going to make it hard for you to own
gentrify them, basically.
That's how this all works. We're not going to force you to get the vaccine. You just won't be able to go anywhere.
How is that even remotely going to stem I'm not going to say it, scary black rifle purchases? Because you know as well as I do, Dan, the gun is the cheapest part of that equation. It's the ammunition and the accessories that cost all the money,
Yeah, over time.
Yeah, to me, that actually, I don't like the registration piece, because why do they need that information to begin with? What are they going to use that for? That makes no sense. Yeah, right.
Well, to know who has it so they can charge the tax.
Well, I suppose. But $400, is that annual? I hope not. But if it's not $400, I don't think would deter a single person from owning an assault rifle.
Then they'll just bump up the price. Yeah. They'll do what they have to do to build back.
Well,
better.
Actually, Illinois, state of Illinois, to own firearms, you got to register them and go in it. You get a separate card, firearm owner.
That's right. Yeah.
I guess they haven't been doing anything too nefarious with that. But
okay, back to the video. Whatever you want, you'll rent, and it'll be delivered by drone.
Oh, okay. And how do we get money in this?
Sounds
future?
cool. I like it. The U.S. won't be the world's leading superpower. A handful of countries will dominate.
But not the U.S.
You won't die waiting for an organ donor.
No, because we'll be harvesting them from people in prison.
We won't they won't transplant. They'll
3D print them out of real flesh.
You'll eat much less meat.
Boo! Boo!
An occasional treat, not a staple for the good of the environment and our health.
Fuck that, I'll raise my own. I'm sorry, I just said the F word.
1 billion people will be displaced by climate change. We'll have to do a better job at welcoming and integrating refugees.
Well, wait. Oh, time out. In this, why would we have refugees if this is a global thing? Everybody would be right. Happy where they're at.
Why would anybody want to come to the U.S.?
Because everybody's going to be equal.
Yeah.
So that's off the table. That's going to take care of itself.
Here's how this polluter thing works. So polluters will have to pay to emit carbon dioxide. Again,
carbon credits.
Who's got the most money to
you're getting fired up too now. That's awesome.
Spend.
I love it.
You got a lot of money. I can spend a lot to pollute.
But wait, when we're going to redistribute the wealth in this and create a new financial system, who's got all this money to pollute now? Government, right? Because all of our power, electricity, all that stuff's going to have to be controlled by somebody, right? It won't be a private corporation, will it?
There will be a global price on carbon. This will help make fossil fuels history.
We'll need some, I think.
And then, of course, the good stuff. You can prepare to go to Mars. Scientists will have worked out how to keep you healthy in space. And again, journey to find alien life.
By 2030?
Western values will have been tested to the breaking point.
What Western values?
Checks and balances that underpin our democracies must not be forgotten.
I agree with that.
But that's what they want you to do, is forget, because they'll build back better.
You think Kim Jong-il will be on board with this?
I don't know. He's doing his own thing, man.
Yeah. You think he'll welcome this?
And here is Mr. Schwab, World Economic Forum globalist, Great Reset. World will never return to normal after coronavirus. This is what they want.
Tiger King 2 will come out and everybody will forget about everything.
Many of us are pondering when things will return to normal, wrote Schwab in the Great Reset. The short response is never. Nothing will ever return to the broken sense of normalcy that prevailed prior to the crisis because of the coronavirus pandemic. Marks a fundamental inflection point in our global trajectory. Now, interesting, they want to name this BC before coronavirus and AC after coronavirus.
Well, we've already got a BC. We can't do that. We got to come up with something else. Call it BCV and ACV.
Schwab was also a steering committee for the Bilderberg meetings.
Oh, there's a flag. What website is this? Is this Alex Jones?
No, this is Big League Politics.
Okay.
They're pretty good. I mean, yeah, they're right wing, but they report good stuff and they're on. I mean, if they're gonna say it's fake news, but it ain't.
Well, if the quotes are real, man. You know.
All right, so is that all you had on the front for 2030? Looks pretty great, doesn't it, Pete? Build back better.
Come again. There's aspects of it that I like, but it scares the hell out of me. If I'll go back to it again. If we had the right people with the right morals and ethics running the show, and because somebody's got to,
you can't trust anybody.
No, you can't. And so all of this stuff is just pipe dream crap.
I was thinking about a conspiracy video that people in the chat might know him. Al Bielek. If you believe it, he was on the
where do I know that name from?
USS Eldridge, and that's where they had the time travel thing. He went to the future. Philadelphia experiment.
Yep.
Went to the future, and then in that future, they talked about how there was an AI running that future, and they talked about how they couldn't go back to people running it because it would just get corrupted. If this goes down, how Trump might radically change something. I'm not saying an AI would be good, but you could see how it'd be like, we're not going to go back to the old ways because it's open to corruption. You can see it in our Senate.
Terrible.
You can see it in the House.
You can, Dan, we could go 10 miles down the road and sit at a city council meeting and see it, man. The corruption starts at a I have seen in small podunk, Wisconsin, cities of population 750, corruption.
Well, what
I can only imagine.
What was the corruption like?
Oh, just back scratching, and well, I'm not going to do that. My cousin doesn't like him, so he's not going to get that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like completely just influenced by, you know, the friends, the cliques, and stuff like that. And I remember I stopped and looked. I'm like, imagine what's happening on a county level,
right?
On a state level,
when you can pay somebody $1 million
global...
to do something, and
yeah, and you got people that don't give crap about any laws, regulations. They just do what they want because they know A, they're either never going to get caught, and B, if they get caught, any fine levied on them, because jail time apparently for the rich is just out of the question these days. Any jail time or fine that would be levied on them, they've made 50 times over that doing the corrupt things they were doing. It pisses me off, man. And so I'll welcome AIs. I'll welcome
it's got to be a
giant asteroid. I'll welcome aliens, but you know, it's I don't know, man, because I'm squarely in the camp that we cannot trust ourselves to do what's right ever as a species, man.
We're in scary times right now, folks, and we could go one way. That's why I named this episode "Dark or Light." We're at this turning point right now, where we could go dark or we could go light with all this stuff being exposed. And it's down to the wire.
Well, and that's early on. I said, I hope that these white hats have the power to back up overthrowing this, because if the bad guys, if they just simply have the guns and the numbers, then the darkness prevails, and we're back to, you know, whips and prods and you know, and letting the man force us to do stuff. So.
Right. So,
oh God, Dan,
let's change
really
over.
Fired me up here. So
yeah, now that we're all fired up, let's change over. We got one last topic before we wrap up today, folks. We're gonna switch over to some TTSA stuff. So let's get her down.
Wild women, the ripping and the tearing.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, so. To the Stars Academy. Again, this is the disclosure by the government running everything. I want to show this picture, and then we got 2 clips from Chris Mellon I want to get into. I found this. So Luis Elizondo's kind of running the thing, and he posted this picture. We know that Tom DeLonge is a leftist. We know that Chris Mellon just exposed himself as a leftist. I'm just saying, in generally, leftist is crazy.
I find Luis Elizondo, I look at him and I don't picture him as like some high-level brass Pentagon guy. He like looks like a buddy I'd like to party with.
He's one of the ones I had hope for, but look at his shirt here in the upper left.
Is he wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt?
That's what it looks like. And if think about it, if you're studying this stuff and you don't look into the underlinings of Black Lives Matter and how it gets funded and where it's going, how the hell
Soros funds most of it, doesn't he?
How the hell was he studying UFOs and couldn't figure that shit out? So we're trusting him with his UFO research, and he can't even look at the Black Lives Matter research.
Well, hold on. There, you know, for one, you know, maybe his focus is elsewhere, that he doesn't do that, and 2, maybe we've been thinking about this UFO thing all wrong, and maybe Soros is funding it secretly. The disclosure stuff, wouldn't that throw a wrench into some mixes?
That's a lot, many things.
Yeah, I mean, that's complete speculation, and I just completely made it up. I've got no evidence to do that, but you know, I don't care. I think that that minorities in general have gotten a pretty shitty rap and short end of the stick in this country.
But when you talk about disclosure,
centuries,
where the UFO stuff came from, figuring out, you know, that's the first thing when somebody that can do that kind of research, and he's wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt. I'm not saying Black Lives don't matter. You would
question his. Yeah, because
his research.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the spirit of equality and things like that, but I also don't like just, and as soon as you politicize something so much, it just starts to put a bad taste in my mouth. But I don't know.
I just want to say shout out to the chat to Fortified for watching. He's on D Live, And yeah, we're multicasting on many platforms. That's why it doesn't look like there's a lot of people in there, but we're on YouTube and at Twitch also. So thanks for joining us over there, because that's definitely our backup, I guess.
D Live, you said?
D Live, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Besides you mentioning it a few times. I don't spend a ton of time on the internet. It's depressing.
Let's go to the clips from Chris Mellon. So there's two here. First one, he's talking about some men in black like people working for him. This is interesting. He also talks about the government doing these LSD experiments. That you've talked about this on the show.
Yeah, MK Ultra was the big one.
It's interesting to hear him say that.
So I asked Chris Mellon if there was in fact a...
Oh, by the way, this is on the Stars and Stripes podcast. This is episode 8.
Department or agency responsible for talking to witnesses of UAPs or intimidating them in order to cover the occurrence up.
Some of those people used to work for me. My office, under my office, we had people that were doing, I wish I could tell you some of the crazy things that we had people doing in places they were going in the world and the kind of cover they were operating under and all that sort of thing. So that's why partly I'm saying this.
They used to work for him.
I know that, yeah, absolutely. We have people undercover who show up who can be perhaps intimidating and inquisitive, and they're not necessarily overtly associated with Uncle Sam, and they want to know about that thing that fell out of the sky that missed its target. And oh, by the way, if you can get your hands on it, there might be a nice reward in it for you. So, so I'm not disputing that kind of thing at all. It goes on. Don't forget, guys, in those days when the McMinnville incident was happening and so forth.
We're talking about the 50s and 60s here.
We had people at the agency doing absolutely outrageous off the reservation stuff, experimenting on humans, giving LSD to people without their consent and performing experiments on people in prison. I mean, there were out of control kinds of things going on that were just outrageous in quite a few of them. And the agency in those days, before congressional oversight, didn't hesitate to send people out to do things like that, like, confront somebody, maybe search their house, even though they were here in the U.S., or turn it inside out. So we just have to be careful about assuming because a government agency expressed interest or somebody undercover expressed interest that means there's necessarily a big secret program about UFOs.
So there you go.
I don't know how to take that.
Well,
processing.
It's just the fact that he knows that these men in black people exist and they have worked for him.
Yep.
He's admitting that. And
they may not be associated with the government. It's just they were out there and doing crazy stuff.
Asking in the chat, what's this show's political orientation? I lean more libertarian right. Pete's your what?
I'm a goddamn independent, man. a giant asteroid 2020, man. So I would probably say that we are definitely more of a right-leaning show overall. So, but I think we bring a good mix and good perspective. But I describe myself to people as a gun-toting liberal, but even that's not accurate anymore, So.
Okay, I got one more clip here from Chris Mellon. We can wrap it up. We've been going an hour and a half already. So this is where Chris Mellon's talking about the alien debris. Like, he's kind of poo-pooing it because he's saying if we have the alien debris, we've done so little with it.
If it's true that we have, say, some debris that does not appear to be man-made, it appears to be off-planet, I think the most likely outcome would be, if that were ever disclosed, would be shocked that we've done so little with it or about it. Not that we're flying some secret space force and all this, kind of stuff. If we did have or do have that kind of absolute confirmation or physical confirmation, I think most likely it's in something that's just buried away in like the basement imagery maybe? In the in these old movies where
yeah, that's all I've had. So again, buried away. Yeah, Area 51, they had these reverse craft. I showed on here. What was the last episode about the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base with that little
weird building stuff going on? And
well, even the craft itself,
yeah,
you can tell it was reverse engineered from something UFO like. So that's your disclosure update. I know it's kind of disappointing. There's not a lot going on in the disclosure world right now because of other things, of course.
Y'all got to check out the episode in 2 weeks, though.
Let's talk about what's coming up.
So
your episode's next.
Yeah, so. we got a couple alien UFO episodes coming up, right, Dan? In the next month here.
Oh yeah, we do a double alien.
We did a double alien. So I'm going to cover the Falcon Lake UFO incident, and it is one of the most well-documented UFO incidents, more so than Roswell, and arguably, and maybe not even arguably, but is more important and pivotal than the Roswell incident. And we're going to talk about that, and that was like super interesting thing that I came across. I couldn't believe I hadn't heard about it before because how prominent it is, but it's super cool. So tune in 2 weeks. I think that'll be the one in 2 weeks, right, Dan?
Yep.
That'll be my episode.
And then,
and then Dan, what are you going to work on for us?
I got the Travis Walton case. I thought that was, I've never seen it, but I heard everybody talk about it. I'm like, I'm going to look into this a little bit. Why not? And then I'll do my presentation. We'll just go over the whole story basically and see what's all good about it. So that's all coming up. And then I think we talked about getting another person on the show. We'll see how that goes. We're not going to mention any names right now.
Yep. And it won't be in the next couple episodes.
But I still got to clear it with him to see if he's going to come on. If he does, we're going to probably double up a weekend, and because he works right now when we're filming, so we're on the wrong rotation. So
he works every other Friday, and we're on the wrong rotation. But yeah, I hope he joins us because this guy's like super fun to talk to, great personality, just a great soul in person. So I'm really excited to see if he's going to commit and come on board.
Yeah, for sure.
He's no Dusty, but I think he might turn out to be better.
Dusty who?
Yeah, right.
Correct.
At this point, it's been years, right, Dan? Has it been years? No,
it has. Yes, I think so. We'd have to sit down and figure that out. But he's always welcome to come back on if he reaches out to me.
He kind of went down a different path in his life.
I think he always wants me to keep asking him, and if he's constantly busy, we have to move on here. So that's just the way television works.
Yeah, show must go on whether or not he's in the middle of a Fortnite tournament or not, right? So
all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Again, there was a couple of viewers over in D Live. I really appreciate it. I think that's the first time I've seen some D Live viewers. Again, we're on YouTube and also on Twitch.
Yeah, tell your friends, man. We like to have fun, and you can tell us how stupid or crazy or good looking we are.
Looks like you guys are into the same stuff we are, because he's talking about Antarctica Awakening. Q sounds good. That's our same page.
Oh yeah. We're in the wheelhouse purge time. We're in the same wheelhouse, man.
All right. Again, visit K2D4network.com. Later, folks.
Take care.